Hey butterflies, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I have something really special for you in honor of Environment Day. I'm thrilled to share my very first audiobook, a heartwarming story called Thank You. This story is all about appreciating and protecting our beautiful environment through the eyes of Krisha and her neighbors. I hope you enjoy this little treat and feel inspired to cherish the nature around us. If you loved the story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to me. And if you want more audiobooks like this one, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for joining me, and let's celebrate Environment Day by spreading our wings and caring for our planet together. Let's start the story. It was a beautiful, sunny day. Krisha was gently watering her plants in the small garden within her house boundary, humming a soft tune as she worked. The vibrant colors of blooming flowers surrounded her, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of roses, lilies, and marigolds. Her neighbor and friend Ria leaned against the fence, chatting animatedly. "I must say, your roses are growing beautifully," Ria commented, admiring the lush blooms with wide eyes. She reached out her hand, ready to pluck one. "Can I take one?" Krisha quickly intercepted, her tone light yet firm. "Don't. I know you'll just take it and leave it somewhere to dry out. Let them stay alive and enjoy their beauty here," Ria pouted playfully, whining like a child. "You're so mean, Krisha. I wanted to show my mom how lovely they are." Krisha smiled warmly, her eyes softening. "Ria, you know, these roses are part of our little ecosystem here. They provide nectar for the bees and bring joy to everyone who sees them in full bloom. We should cherish them right where they are." Ria sighed, nodding in agreement. "You're right, Krisha. I guess I got carried away." Their playful banter was interrupted when they noticed two cars approaching, stopping a short distance away. A few people got out and began discussing something, their words indistinguishable from where Krisha and Ria stood. "Is that Dhruv, Sharma uncle's son?" Krisha squinted, trying to get a better look. Her curiosity was piqued, and she stepped closer to the edge of her garden. Ria did the same, shading her eyes with her hand to get a clearer view. "I think so." Without hesitation, Ria cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted, "Hey Dhruv." The man turned towards them in surprise, his eyes widening as he recognized the familiar voice. His face broke into a broad smile as he saw Ria and Krisha. "Long time no see," Ria called out with a big grin, already making her way towards him. Krisha followed closely behind, her curiosity deepening with each step. "Ria, right? And you must be Krisha," Dhruv said, his face lighting up with recognition as he looked at the two women in front of him. "Yeah, it's us," Krisha replied with a pure smile. "How have you been? It's been years since we last saw you." Dhruv nodded, his expression softening with nostalgia. "Yes, after completing my studies, I settled in Mumbai. After my parents, there wasn't much reason to come back." Ria nodded sympathetically. "We can understand that. After Uncle left, this house has been empty. We thought it would stay that way forever." Dhruv sighed. "I wasn't planning to return, but my company opened a new branch here, and I got promoted here," he explained, glancing around at the familiar surroundings. "Oh, that's good to hear," Krisha responded, trying to maintain her cheerful demeanor. Their conversation was interrupted by one of the men who had arrived with Dhruv. "Mr. Sharma, shall we start with the measurements of the building?" "Oh yes, Mr. Khanna. Please come with me," Dhruv replied, showing them the way. Krisha looked puzzled. "Are you planning some renovation?" "Not just renovation. I'm going to make this house completely new," Dhruv exclaimed. "Oh, okay," Krisha said, though she felt a pang of sadness at the thought. As the workers began measuring, one of them asked, "Would you like to keep this garden area or—" Dhruv cut him off. "No, I don't want it. Just take the wall from here." Krisha's heart sank. "Sorry to interrupt, but why are you removing the garden area?" she asked, her voice tinged with confusion and concern. Dhruv shrugged. "I don't need it. It's just taking up space without—" Krisha stepped forward, her eyes pleading. "Dhruv, these trees and plants were planted by your parents with so much love. You can't just cut them down for extra space." "Look at this plant," she said, pointing to a lush green vine. "This is Giloy, also known as heart-leaved moonseed. It has incredible medicinal properties, helping to cure high fevers and viral infections. It's the only one in our colony, and people come here specifically for it. Will you still talk about its need?" Dhruv's expression hardened. "Come on, who uses plants for home remedies nowadays? We have advanced medicines that work better and faster than any plant," he said mockingly. "And please, I request you not to interfere. This is my personal matter," he added, turning away and heading inside the house, leaving Krisha and Ria behind. Krisha felt a deep sense of loss as she watched the workers prepare to dismantle the garden. "How can you be so dismissive?" she whispered, her eyes welling up with tears. Ria placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Let's try to save what we can," she suggested softly. Days turned into weeks to months, and the construction progressed swiftly. Dhruv and his wife moved into their newly renovated house with their 5-year-old son. The once vibrant garden was now a bare patch of land. Workers uprooted the plants one by one, discarding them without a second thought. Determined to save at least a part of the garden's legacy, Krisha carefully dug up the Giloy plant, cradling it as if it were a precious artifact. She transplanted it into her own garden, hoping to keep it alive and thriving. As she watered the plant, Krisha whispered softly, "I will take care of you. Your legacy will continue, no matter what." Ria watched her from the fence, a smile of admiration on her face. "You're doing a good thing, Krisha. One small act can make a big difference." Krisha nodded, her resolve strengthening. "Every little effort counts. We must protect what we can, for the sake of our future and the environment." Together, they stood in silent agreement, the Giloy plant symbolizing their commitment to preserving nature's gifts, knowing that their small actions could inspire a larger change in their community. One evening, as Krisha was watering her plants, she heard a soft voice behind her. "Auntie, can I play here?" Krisha turned to see Dhruv's little boy, Parth, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Of course, dear. Come, let me show you something special," she said, leading him by the hand into her garden. She pointed to the vibrant flowers and lush greenery around them. "Look at these marigolds, Parth. You know, these little golden flowers are like the garden's protectors. They keep bad bugs away and make our festivals even more beautiful." Parth's eyes sparkled with excitement as he followed Krisha from plant to plant. "Wow, Auntie, what about this one?" he asked, pointing to a bush with delicate white flowers. Krisha's eyes twinkled as she gently touched a bloom. "This is jasmine. It's like nature's perfume." "Smell it," she said, holding a flower to his nose. "Isn't it lovely? And you know you can make a yummy tea from it that helps you relax." Parth took a deep breath, his face filled with wonder. "And this one?" he asked, pointing to another plant. Krisha's face lit up with pride. "This, Parth, is aloe vera. It's like a magic plant. If you get a boo-boo or a burn, you can use the gooey gel inside its leaves to make it all better. It's like having a tiny doctor in the garden." Parth touched the plant gently, fascinated. "And this one?" he asked, pointing to a different plant. Krisha smiled warmly. "This plant is super special. It's called Giloy, or heart-leaved moonseed. Imagine it like a superhero plant. It helps people when they're sick by making them strong and fighting off fevers and colds. Isn't that amazing?" Parth looked at the plant with awe. "It's so cool. Can we keep it?" Krisha knelt down to his level, her eyes soft. "We will, sweetheart. We'll take good care of it so it can grow big and strong, just like you." As Krisha looked at the boy's innocent face, she felt a renewed sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, the next generation would learn to cherish and protect the environment their ancestors had loved so dearly. Just then, Parth's mother, Prachi, appeared at the gate, her modern attire and sleek hairstyle reflecting her contemporary lifestyle. She approached them with a polite but concerned expression. "Parth, there you are. What are you doing here?" Prachi asked, her tone gentle but firm. "Come on, let's go inside. You might get bitten by a bug or catch an infection from playing in mud." Parth looked disappointed but obediently walked over to his mother. "But Mom, Auntie Krisha showed me all these cool plants. Did you know aloe vera can help with burns? And Giloy is good for fevers?" Prachi smiled indulgently, patting her son's head. "That's nice, Parth, but we have modern medicines for all that now. Let's not get too close to these plants, okay?" Krisha stepped forward, her voice calm but earnest. "Prachi, I understand your concerns, but these plants are not just decorations. They have real, beneficial properties. It's important to teach children about nature and how to take care of it. Prachi looked thoughtful for a moment, but then shook her head gently. I appreciate what you're saying, Krisha, but we prefer to rely on more modern solutions. They are quick and easy to use. Thank you for showing Parth around, though. As Prachi led Parth away, Krisha watched them go with a mixture of sadness and hope. She glanced back at her beloved plants, silently vowing to keep educating others about their importance. In the quiet of her garden, she whispered to herself, maybe one day they'll understand. Few months later, it was mid-July, and heavy rain had been pounding the city for 3 days straight. The roads were flooded, making it nearly impossible to go anywhere, and the phone networks were sporadic at best. Krisha sat by her window, sipping her green tea and watching the raindrops cascade down. The sound of thunder rumbled in the distance when she noticed a figure outside, drenched and running about in obvious panic. Dhruv, she called out loudly, recognizing him despite the rain. Why are you out in this storm? Is everything all right? Dhruv turned towards her, his face fraught with worry. No, Krisha, my son Parth. He's sick. He's had a fever since yesterday evening, and it's not going down. We've tried everything, and I can't get through to the hospital with these roads flooded. Oh no, Krisha exclaimed, rising swiftly from her chair. Did you check with Dr. Gupta? He lives just a few blocks away. I did, but he's out of town, Dhruv replied, raindrops mingling with his tears as he spoke. Krisha nodded, thinking quickly. Don't worry, Dhruv. Let me think of something. You go back home, I'll be there soon. With a determined stride, Krisha hurried inside, searching her home for something that could help. After a few moments, she found what she needed and grabbed an umbrella along with some plant stems. Meanwhile, Dhruv stood helplessly by his son's side, his wife Prachi beside him, tears streaming down her cheeks. They both jumped at the sudden knock on the door. It must be Krisha, Dhruv exclaimed, rushing to open the door. He found her there, holding an umbrella and some plant stems in her hands. What is this, Krisha, he asked, puzzled yet hopeful. Just trust me, Dhruv. This is going to help, she said, stepping inside as he followed her. Krisha swiftly made her way to the kitchen, her movements purposeful. She cleaned the plant roots and placed them in a pan with water, boiling them gently. The aroma of the herbs filled the air as she strained the liquid into a cup and carried it to Parth's bedside. Here, Dhruv, have him drink this concoction, she instructed gently, holding the cup out to him. Dhruv looked uncertain but desperate. He helped Parth sip the herbal mixture, praying silently for a miracle. Hours passed in tense silence as they waited anxiously. Finally, Prachi checked Parth's temperature once more. It's normal now, she whispered in disbelief, relief flooding her face. Dhruv's eyes filled with gratitude as he turned to Krisha, his voice trembling with emotion. Thank you so much, Krisha. I can't begin to express how grateful I am. If it weren't for you, I don't know what we would have done. Prachi nodded fervently, her eyes moist. Yes, thank you. But what was that medicine you used? We tried everything on him already. Krisha smiled gently, her eyes reflecting a mixture of compassion and wisdom. It was the same plant that you once considered useless. Dhruv looked puzzled. Which plant are you talking about? The Jilui plant, Krisha explained patiently. Remember when I told you about its medicinal properties? Today, it saved your son's life. Dhruv's face registered surprise and realization. But how? I mean, Krisha interrupted gently. Dhruv, our traditions and natural remedies have their own wisdom, but in our rush for modern solutions, we often overlook the treasures nature has given us. Remember, sometimes modern solutions may fail us. Nature always finds a way to heal. We shouldn't dismiss our heritage so easily. I'm sorry, Krisha, Dhruv said earnestly, regret coloring his voice. I realize now how wrong I was to ignore your words. Thank you for saving that plant, and more importantly, for saving my son today. From now on, I promise to respect our traditions and cherish our natural heritage. Krisha smiled warmly. Don't thank me, Dhruv. Thank the plant, she said, gesturing towards the window where the Jilui plant stood in her garden. And thank nature for providing us with everything we need to live beautifully. Dhruv nodded solemnly, his resolve strengthened. Yes, you're right. Thank you to this plant and to everything nature gives us. From today onwards, I will make sure to grow as many plants as I can and do my part to contribute to our environment. And you don't need a large garden for that, Krisha added encouragingly. Even small pots on your rooftop or in a corner of your corridor can make a difference. What matters is that nurture and respect the earth that sustains us. As they stood together, surrounded by the scent of rain and herbs, they felt a profound sense of connection to the world around them. In that moment, Dhruv realized the true value of their ancient traditions and the importance of preserving them for generations to come. Later that week, after the rain subsided, Dhruv and Prachi stood in their small garden, planting new herbs and small shrubs. Prachi spoke softly, her voice filled with sincerity. "I owe you an apology, Krisha," she began, her eyes brimming with tears. "I realize now how wrong I was to dismiss your knowledge and take Parth away that day. If it weren't for you and your wisdom, our son might not be here with us today." Krisha shook her head gently, her smile reassuring. "It's all right, Prachi. We all learn and grow. What matters is that we understand the importance of our natural heritage now." Prachi nodded, wiping away tears of gratitude. "Thank you, Krisha, and thank you to this plant," she said, touching the Giloi plant tenderly. "You've taught us a valuable lesson." Dhruv placed a hand on Krisha's shoulder, his expression filled with respect and admiration. "Thank you for everything, Krisha. You've opened our eyes to something truly precious." Krisha smiled, her heart full. "It was my pleasure. If we all do our part, our environment will thrive." They watched as Parth, now recovered and full of energy, planted a new tree in their garden. His small hands carefully placed the sapling into the soil, his face a mix of concentration and joy. Friend Parth said to the tree, giggling mischievously, "You grow well, okay? Let's see who will become tall first." Krisha couldn't help but chuckle at Parth's innocence and enthusiasm. She looked at Dhruv and Prachi, who were now smiling through their tears of relief and gratitude. In that moment, Krisha felt a deep sense of contentment. She knew that this experience had not only saved a child's life, but had also planted seeds of appreciation for nature and tradition in their hearts. As the sun began to peek through the clouds, casting a warm glow over the garden, Krisha whispered to herself, "Thank you, nature, for reminding us of the simple joys and the powerful healing that comes from caring for our environment." Together, they stood in silence, feeling the cool earth beneath their feet and sensing a future where greenery would thrive. As they looked at the newly planted tree, its small leaves stretching upwards, they felt connected to nature's healing power. In that quiet moment, surrounded by their garden, they knew each effort to care for the earth was a promise to keep their community beautiful and healthy for years to come.